Зараз я розкажу вам про елегантну імпрезу, яку Шевченківська фундація влаштувала, щоб заохочувати канадських письменників писати на українські мотиви. About 200 people filled the Palais Royal Hall for a gala to announce the winner of the 2012 Kobzar Literary Award. It's an award that was launched by the Shevchenko Foundation 8 years ago, handed out every 2 years to recognize an author who has written a book with a Ukrainian-Canadian theme.
This award was established primarily to stimulate interest among the publishing community in Canada so that they would be more alert and more receptive to publishing books on Ukrainian-Canadian themes. So the targets are the publishing industry, as well as to entice Canadian authors to pick up the challenge and to either research or to write from their own experience about anything that the Ukrainian community has contributed or lived through here in Canada.
The winning author receives $20,000, while the book's publisher gets $5,000, a way to entice publishers to look out for these books with Ukrainian-Canadian themes. Within that theme, the committee in charge accepts books that fall under 5 genres.
Well, the genres that we accept are poetry and screenplays. We also accept fiction and nonfiction, and young readers' literature also.
This year, there were 5 authors shortlisted for the award. They come from across the country, and their books fall under several genres.
Well, we have Larissa Andrusician from Montreal, who's a young poetess, and she wrote a book called Mammoth. The poetry in her book celebrates her father, his achievements as a paleontologist in Canada, and I suppose it's a tribute. It's a daughter's tribute to her father.
How difficult was it to write about your father?
It was really difficult. Thankfully, I had a lot of years before I started to do it, and the way that I approached it was through the sort of the eye of the documentarian filmmaker, so with a sort of a distance so that I could avoid being very sentimental, which is something that I really didn't want to do. I didn't want to have very emotionally raw poems. I wanted to be able to look at it in a way that was both tragic and beautiful, which is something I've always admired about Eastern European writing, actually. A lot of the Eastern European writers use surrealism really well and are really great at mixing beautiful and tragic elements. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to explore his death without focusing on the sadness of it, but also to talk a bit about the magic that is possible on the planet.
Another one of our authors is Sandy Mitchell, and she writes Under This Unbroken Sky. It deals with and honors the pioneers and the ancestry of Ukrainian Canadians. It's a very, very wonderfully written and engaging fictional book.
It's very difficult to publish. I'm a bit naive. This was my first novel, so I had what I've since discovered was a very gentle entry into this world. But I've learned that, they tell me maybe 100 authors in a year may be published in Canada. Maybe 2 will get read internationally. To win awards, you just keep going up, and agents are looking at thousands of manuscripts across their desk every month. It's quite daunting if you actually know the facts, but I think you tell your stories and you tell them well and you tell them true, and I really believe they'll find who they're meant to find. I do.
We have also Rhea Trebekov from Vancouver, who's written The Knife Sharpener's Bell, and she highlights for us the immigration process. We have a group, a family coming from Odessa, Ukraine to Winnipeg, Canada, unhappy here, returning to Odessa in Ukraine, also trying to forge a life there. So it's also, again, very, very well written.
Because we spend most of our lives locked in a room looking at a computer screen, wondering if anyone will ever read our words. And this has been a remarkable evening for me in the number of people who've come up and said, I read your book, I enjoyed it. So we're reaching an audience I don't think many of us would not reach otherwise. So it's a wonderful gift.
Myrna Kostash, of course, from Edmonton, who wrote The Prodigal Daughter. And she goes on a journey of self-discovery, trying to track her religious roots, and that takes her in pursuit of St. Demetrius, who's the patriarch or the patron saint of her parish. So she goes to Byzantium and travels there, and it's a fascinating book. She's an excellent writer also. As you can hear me, I've said excellent writing, excellent writing. These are top-notch Canadian writers, and they satisfied the criteria of our outstanding adjudicators.
The award, as we understood it from the beginning, didn't depend on the ethnicity of the writer. That was really important. The idea was to acknowledge books that have looked at our Ukrainian-Canadian lives, ideas, whatever, whoever writes it, right? And so to understand that these stories of Ukrainian Canadians now belong to all of Canadian writing. And I think that's what you see reflected in these shortlists. And certainly I want to say something about the juries. The Shevchenko Foundation has put together marvelous juries of real literary peers of those of us who are writers. Right? Look at the jury this year. Nino Ricci, M.G. Vazanji, Denise Chong, right? To be singled out by writers of that kind, you betcha, that's very exciting.
Number 5 is from Professor Miroslav Shkandry from Winnipeg. He wrote a very well-researched presentation of the relationship of Jews and Ukrainians through an analysis of literature. So he presents a very interesting and eminently accessible for the lay reader a thesis and a presentation on how Jews were presented in Ukrainian literature.
You know, when you write books, when you're an author, you spend a lot of time, it's almost like a prison sentence sometimes. You spend a lot of time locked in a room, working on a project for years and years. You often don't know what the response is going to be, whether you've written an interesting book or whether it's been worthwhile, whether it even will get published. So to have it not only published, but to have it recognized and to have it widely appreciated and recognized by a stellar adjudication committee. These are really remarkable people on this committee. It's a great pleasure. It's a great honor. It's great for the book. It inspires you. It inspires you to keep going, to keep working at these things.
After each shortlisted author got a chance to introduce themselves and their books to the audience, the winner of the 2012 KONTAKT Literary Award was announced.
And I'm pleased to announce that the winner of the 2012 KONTAKT Literary Award is Shandy Mitchell for Under This Unbroken Sky.
I've been very lucky with this book because I've traveled the world with it, and the story has gone countries you can't imagine where the story is resonating. I've been to India and Cyprus and England and right across this country, and I'll tell you, they may be a little small Ukrainian family, but people want to hear their story, and people are reading it, and so I think the stories are being heard. And there's so many more to tell. And I hope many keep telling them. Thank you very much. Dāku.